All right, I'm live. I'm just going to give a few minutes here for people to join into the chat. I know this was done really quick and nobody had any warning. I get it. But you know what? A lot of stuff has been happening in the last few days, as you're probably well aware of, in regards to this new push. I mean, it's something that props up time and time again. The proponents, these authoritarians, these advocates for denying people their ability to defend themselves just by the sheer fact that's collective and preemptive punishment. So one guy does something wrong, or even two guys does something wrong, especially whether you're talking about in the U.S., those two shooters, whether you're talking about Dayton, Ohio, was it Dayton, I believe, or whatever in Ohio, and then down there in Texas, El Paso. But even in Canada, we had what, 14 incidents? Even with 14 incidents, there's 30 some million, 36, 37 million people in Canada, millions of gun owners, legal, law-abiding gun owners. Just like in the U.S., there's hundreds of millions, or at least 100 million legal gun owners in the U.S. And we're all being told today that because somebody else did something bad, we're all supposed to have our ability to be, or to have the capacity or ability to defend ourselves. We're all supposed to be disarmed in the name of, oh, the government's going to take care of you, right? Don't worry about taking care of yourself. When that criminal is coming up there and trying to rob you or do something against you, or if you're a woman or rape you, don't worry, the government will be there to take care of you. Don't look to defend yourself. They're going to do it for you, right? And if you're foolish or naive enough to fall for that kind of nonsense, well, I got some oceanfront property down there in Arizona I'd like to sell you. Come on, this is something we really got to talk about. We really got to discuss. Well, I mean, today I'll be the one doing all the talking predominantly, but this is a topic, this is an area, this is a subject that I've touched down on it many times, just look through my past videos, but this is something that is of profound importance to deal with and to push back against the kind of narrative that's being espoused by those who are representative of the ruling establishment in terms of politics or the media. All these authoritarian hacks, they're not against the gun. Everyone, if somebody ever comes up against them and tries to do anything that's violent towards them, they love the gun. Matter of fact, they're going to call. It's called 911. They're like, I'm calling someone with a gun. Right? That's the first thing they want as a means to defend themselves is somebody with a gun. But they want to disarm large segments of the population. People haven't done anything wrong. People haven't committed any crimes. They want to disarm you under the pretense that, oh, no, it's only those that work for government that should be armed. That's really, at the end of the day, that's what they really mean when they're talking about disarming the population is they want to disarm you and keep all those arms in the hands of their mindless order followers, those who are representative of the state. So they're not all about disarming the population. No. They want to keep a substantial, or at least a small portion of the population well armed. Those who are their mindless order followers at the end of the day. Anyways, I'm starting to see there's some people who are showing up in the chat. Yeah, I'm going to be quite lively in regards to this topic because, like I say, I've grown up in the country and I've lived in the city. My whole life, I've seen the rural and the urban divide and how that plays out as far as gun control or gun advocates or those who are fence sitters on that issue. And let me tell you, really, if you want to be properly informed, go live in both areas. Then you'll be properly informed because in the country and rural areas, people who are proponents and advocates of guns, not those who are advocates of controlling people with guns, the people that live in the rural communities that actually own guns and know all about gun culture, they tell you the exact same thing. We don't have no fucking problems. We don't have any issues with violence, gun violence, or these mass shootings or this gang violence that we're seeing in Toronto. Was it? That's the thing. Look at all the media. They're talking about what's happened down in the U.S. and Texas and Ohio, but barely even covering the fact that 14 fucking incidents in this country, in Toronto, in one city alone, where, what was it, 17 people or so that were shot or killed or injured through gun violence? 14 separate incidents, but the Canadian fucking media dipshits they're focusing on what's happening down in the United States. Why? Because they want to disarm the population. Ultimately, these authoritarian leftists, these authoritarian collectivists, the only thing that they genuinely concerned about, and they salivate, they're all like, Jewel, oh yes, some gun violence happened. Yes, it's our opportunity to start pushing gun fucking control again. That's all they care about is control. That's the only thing they don't give a shit about the people that were harmed. Well, especially the one in Ohio, if there were right-wingers that were harmed, they're like, oh yeah, inside their mind, they're like, oh, that's good. That's awesome, right? No, they listen, like I say, it's always about control because it's just like my video. just like the headline of this video suggests. It's a fantasy to think that you're going to be able to control people in their ability to get access to a gun. Or even if you control their access to a gun. Well, look how many times we've seen it. What happened in Nice, France, right? What was it? That guy that jumped in, and what was it? 3-ton cube van or 3 or 5-ton cube van? Hey, oh, I can't have a gun? Okay, that's cool. Let me just use this cube van to mow down, what was it? 50, 60, I don't know, whatever people, right? So you can kill people with all kinds of instruments and tools. And hey, think about what's happening in UK. UK now has a higher crime rate in terms of homicide rate or violence, but they use knives instead of guns. So it's like, would you like me to stab you or shoot you? I don't know. I think both of them would kind of suck, right? And they'll both have just, well, if you do it in the right position, right? The heart or the brain, well, you can kill people with one foul swoop with a knife just as quick as you can kill them with a gun. You might not be able to do it as quickly, but that's the thing. Another thing when they talk about assault weapons, there's no assault weapons being used. There aren't no full automatic. An AR-15 is basically a semi-automatic weapon, just like a lot of the weapons that Canadians use that are legal, right? But just because it looks cooler, ooh, somehow, like I said, ooh, it's scary looking. Anyways, let me pay attention to who's all in the chat here today. What's going on, everyone? Thanks. Yeah, I'm a little bit upset about this whole gun control push because I've seen how opportunistic these authoritarian collectivists truly are. Dipshits. What's going on, Edgar? Hey, Rika, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you're here. But yeah, this shit's driving me nuts, folks. It's morning to you. Oh, hi, morning to you. Well, good morning, Trish. Speak Live. What's up, Speak Live? This is all about creating weak societies that need someone to take care of them. 100% it is. Yeah. And I just can't help but point out once again, folks, and I'm like I said, if you're a boomer that's not like that, this isn't towards you. So don't get all offended and butthurt about it, okay? But yeah, the boomers, large substantial portion of that cohort, oh, they control. And they're scared to death to let anyone have any fucking freedoms because they recognize, maybe what it is they're scared of, well, they have freedoms. They might recognize how authoritarian I was in the past. They might come after me, right? Is that really what the large portion of that boomer cohort that's all about control, is that really what you stand for, is just making sure nobody else has any power? Because, at some point in time, you're going to realize not only you're not going to be able to prevent other people from having power, but you're going to be in a very weak and vulnerable position after you've been spending the entirety or the bulk of your life trying to disarm or make your successive or next generations weak beyond recognition. Well, you keep doing that. But like I say, that's going to come back and bite you in your goddamn ass at some point in time for trying to create, or that's the thing. The only way these authoritarians can maintain control is by keeping, like I say, their successive generations predominantly weak, or their cohorts in their particular country weak. And you're absolutely right, completely right. Speak Life, 100%. It's all about keeping everyone else weak. Well, that's the only way that they can prop up their strength, right? Because these leftists, these authoritarian collectivists, they aren't naturally have no natural strength predominantly. So they have to use the power of persuasion and the power of the government, which is the monopoly of force and violence. The government is the biggest representation of gun violence on the planet. But yet people are still major advocates of that, while the other side of their mouth, they're saying, oh, we got to take guns away from this person. Really? What about that great big giant gun that you constantly clamor for on a continuing ongoing basis that you want to take control over all the time? You're not against violence. Actually, you promote violence every day when you talk about your socialism or your communism or your forced wealth and income redistributive schemes, right? You want to have free this or that. The only way you can have free something for somebody is if you steal it from someone else. And how are you going to steal that? If that person says, no, you can't take from me. Well, you have to use preemptive threats of force or violence, don't you? That's what the Canadian people live under today. So you're all about advocating for preemptive force or violence, but then when someone challenges you that's not part and parcel of your political ideology, all of a sudden they're bad people. Oh, come on, such failures. And they'll always be the failures they are, which is why, and I think most Canadians that are actually conducive with the gun culture in this country, you're never going to be able to disarm those people. Never. They're not foolish. They're not stupid enough to go along with your bullshit propaganda to make them weak and helpless. God damn it. You're so right, Speak Life. What's up, Edgar? A lunatic would kill you with a rock. Exactly. Well, yeah, we're going to law rocks. Yeah. Yeah, matter of fact, tell you the truth, not that I would even want to try that out to test the hypothesis, but I could probably kill someone with a spoon, right? Pretty sure of that, actually, straight through the eyeball, as long as it hits a substantial portion of that cranium in the brain, do a little wiggle around them. Pretty sure if it don't kill them, they're definitely going to be immobilized and disabled for the rest of their life. So, let's ban spoons, right? This is the fucking insanity and the talking points that these authoritarian collectivists put forth on a continued basis. Some inanimate object that someone uses to harm other people, somehow we got to ban that on. Like I said, how are we going to ban cars? Are we going to ban knives? Are we going to ban spoons, bats, right? What are we going to do? Ban everything that has a sharp, it doesn't even have to be sharp, actually. Because, there's these things called grinding wheels. I can sharpen it. It's all just so insane. No, it's always and forever about control. And they use that bleeding heart mentality or that psychology to try to trick a lot of the people to say, they care about me so much. That's why they want to disarm me. That's why they want to disarm everyone. It's because they just care about me so much, and they're going to be waiting there in the winds to protect me from any potential threats or dangers. Really? Are they? Are you fucking really foolish or naive enough to believe that nonsense? Even the cops are never going to be there when that direct threat happens. You'll be calling them, or someone else might be calling them, but that time they show up your door, if that perpetrator wanted to cause harm to you, now that harm's already going to be long dead. You're already going to be long dead and gone. The body's going to be already cooling down before they start to show up. So please stop pretending that these mindless order followers are on your side either. Like I say, these are people that are armed, but yet, especially if you're a cop in this country and you actually stand in solidarity with the federal liberals or anyone that's all about gun control while you carry a gun yourself, biggest hypocrite on the planet. And matter of fact, I invite if you're a cop or a military man, please come on my channel, come on my show. I invite you anytime. And it won't be long. I've got it figured out pretty much now. I won't let the cat out of the bag. Yes, but yes, I'll already have set up so that I'll be able to do my interviews, right? Without Google Hangouts on air. I'm going to make sure that's a reality. Of course, not going to stop me from doing what I do. That's for damn sure. But yeah, if you're a cop or a military guy and you believe in gun control, please come on my channel. Please, I want to hear what kind of bullshit rhetoric that you could possibly espouse. And you know why? I'm not worried about that anyone will actually take up my challenge. Why? Because they couldn't do it. It can't be done. Well, unless they want to sound as stupid as the information that they're trying to present. It's authority-based living where they're trained to see in a uniform. Yeah. Oh, somebody in a uniform, right? Which, think about it. How many times have you been robbed by the average Canadian? I actually have been robbed by the average Canadian a couple times in my life. But those who work for government, whether they're the politicians or part of the ruling class, or these crony corporation dipshits that are part and parcel of them, or they're mindless enforcers of in the police force, they've actually robbed me a whole lot more. Way more than any petty thief in this country could ever hope to. For every one time a petty thief in this country has actually caused harm economically to me, I could point out probably 100 times that those who are representatives of the state have done so, and they continue to do so on an ongoing basis. At least from a petty thief, they're only going to rob my wallet one time, and then I'm going to be wise enough to I'm not going to be paying attention. No way. But the government, they supposedly have the authority to keep robbing me every time they choose to do so. And most Canadian people are like, Bennett, how dare you try to defend your wallet? Why are you trying to put your hand in your back pocket to defend your wallet? They're supposed to have legal authority to take you from you. So that's mentality, psychology. The Canadian people are really psychologically disturbed. And why? Because they've been indoctrinated into the religion of statism ever since they were about 4 or 5 years old, and horizontally enforced by all the other people in their community, in their family, in their neighborhood that have been indoctrinated in that same cult. Their belief in authoritarianism, of forced subjugation and collectivism. They've been indoctrinated so heavily that they'll go against you. They'll say, you should never be free. You should never, ever have any freedoms. These people should be your authority. Why? They've been taught to think that way, like I say, since they were knee-high to a grasshopper, basically. Sad state of affairs. And in the age of information, like I say, ignorance is a choice, folks. That is no longer an excuse anymore. Just like in the Nuremberg trials, Oh, I just did it because my political master told me as I was putting those Jews in the ovens. Yeah, I knew it was probably wrong to do that, right? But I was just going along because my political masters told me that excuse fucking failed long ago. It failed 50, 60, 70 years ago. And it should never be an excuse to allow these kind of authoritarians or these petty tyrants or these mindless order followers to do what they do today. Yeah, you're damn right. By the way, this video more than likely is not going to be monetized. I can almost rest assured I basically have to, every video I put out, I'll just point that out too. Every video that I put out, it's automatically demonetized for some reason. And as you know, I don't even swear much in my videos anymore. But it's still demonetized. So it's like for this one, and because of how important the topic or the subject I'm covering, is like, yeah, fuck it. I don't give a shit about monetizing the video, whatever. Take the money, man. Take the money, Google. Take the money, YouTube. I guess you fucks need a whole lot more than me, just the average poor working slave in this country, right? I guess you need it more. But whatever. You do your thing, what you got to do with me. But I'm still going to say what I got to say. Don't give a shit. Although I do need to survive and thrive. But anyways. So yeah. Let's see what's going on. Speak Live. The new red flags in USA is pretext. In a few years, you'll hear a phrase like, sorry, sir, you've been red flagged for. Yeah. Basically another, social credit. They're all following that authoritarian collective bullshit, right? Ban hands. Yeah, you got to ban hands. We should cut everyone's hands off. Then how are they going to hold the weapon? Oh, but no, unfortunately, Rika, people will figure out better ways. They'll use their toes. Right? I guess we'll have to ban feet after that. But I get what you're saying, Rika. Good one. Guns are tools, period. Knives, cars, bats, tool. Exactly. The motion to question is the intention. I'm a poet and I don't know. Right on. Awesome, Paulus. Well said, man. Or not sure, man or woman. Hey, well said. Trish Farrell. Toronto should have voted in Faith Goldie, not the Tory. Oh, please, like I say, we are truly being rolled over by the most weak, mindless authoritarians that you could ever find. There's only people, like I say, that will go into these positions to try to. Anyways, don't even get me into these dipshits in the political process because they really annoy the living shit out of me. Training for mothers, yeah, I've seen that. Dave Hemmington, it would take up to an hour for a cop to get to where I live. Yeah, well, where I live in New Brunswick, because it's been so reduced. In New Brunswick, there's basically one police outfit now that covers 3 communities. So, yeah, basically about the same thing. If they even give a shit. Well, it would have to be pretty severe even to show up within an hour. Maybe if there was a homicide, they'd be there in an hour. But if it was anything less than a homicide, yeah, maybe the next day. Well, no, I mean, come on. It is ridiculous. So, yeah, no one's there to protect you in your hour or your moment of need other than you. Your ability and your competence and your capacity to defend yourself is what's going to protect you. It ain't going to be your political overlords or your thought leaders or opinion makers or those mindless order followers who are representatives of the state and who, once again, protect those authoritarian collectivists among us, right? That's really because that's what those who represent, those are the police force, all those people especially you that are conservative. Who do you think's fucking going to follow Trudeau's orders? All those cops that you love so much, right? So if Trudeau does decide, although I'll cover that article in a second, but if the Trudeau Liberals did decide, although they won't do it because it's not politically violent this particular time, but if they did, it'd be all those cops that you conservatives love so much. It'd be all those people who would be going up there showing up to people's doors to disarm them, right? Even you conservatives, you gun owners, right? Especially those of you who live in Alberta or on the East Coast and places like New Brunswick, where I'm from. If you're a proponent or a supporter of the federal Liberals, yeah, it's all those cops in your community that the Liberals would use because they're mindless order followers to come and confiscate your weapon. So you're supporting the very people that would come after you and destroy your ability to defend you and your family and those you love. Really? Like I said, that's why I have no faith in. That's why the left-right bullshit, conservative versus liberal, it's all a bunch of nonsense. They're all authoritarian collectivists, but they appeal to the different sides of our stupid brains as human beings, and they figured that stuff out so they can manipulate so easily and so readily. I'm saying don't allow them to manipulate, folks. Recognize what authoritarian is, and they come from the left and the right side of the political spectrum. Shocker, but hey, that's just reality. Take a moment to let that dissolve into your little puny ass fucking brain if you don't understand that already. gonna come with guns to take your guns. Exactly, Edgar. Exactly. Yeah. What do you think? The cops are gonna show up at your door to disarm you? If you're a legal or a law-abiding gun owner in this country, and the federal liberals decide to disarm the population, yeah, it's gonna be all those people with guns that's gonna come to take your guns. So a little bit hypocritical, wouldn't you say? Anyways, let me get to that article I was talking about here a little bit earlier. So yeah, so Ottawa, it's a CBC article. I'll remember to place a link to it in the description of this video. Why Ottawa is hedging when it comes to handguns. Let me take a little sip here and get thirsty. Government is weighing the results of last year's consultations on tougher gun control measures. Minister says this is being reported by that Jonathan Gatehouse. That guy's a fucking mindless little, oh boy, he'll propagate the media mouth. He's a media mouthpiece that's a propagandist proponent for the government for sure. You could hear just the way the fuck. Anyways, so let me get down to this point here. Oh yeah, actually it starts out right off. A weekend of violence in Canada's largest city has led to renewed calls for a ban on the sale and possession of handguns. But the federal liberals say that no such action will be taken until after the fall election. Oh, why would that be the case? Well, if you're not standing on the principle, well, if you're against guns, right, and the people of Canada having gun rights, well, then do your thing. But no, they're like, oh, we don't want to do that because we know they're those blue Tories or those people, those fence sitters that are progressive conservatives. Oxy freaking morons, as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, we got all those people, oh, we might lose their support. They won't vote for us if we go to disarm them now. So let's wait until we've actually got their votes and form majority subsequent to the October federal elections. And then once we've secured a majority again, then, oh yeah, then we'll go screw them people over. Once they voted for us and we're in power for the next few years, we don't give a crap about worrying about defending their rights, their inherent or inalienable rights. No, now we'll go after them. That's what they're basically admitting to. And the CBC is putting it out there. And the fact that there's so many Canadians that don't understand this is apparently you're not paying much attention. You're not reading between the lines here, folks, because they're basically saying that they're looking to disarm you, but they don't want to do it now because the election's coming up. And they don't want to push some of those Canadian people that are, staunch defenders of our ability to have and bear arms and to be able to defend ourselves or hunt or whatever. But they're like, oh, we don't want to piss those people off right now. We might lose some of their support. So lie to them for now, screw them later. Right? And if you're one of those progressive conservatives or those blue Tory or whatever the hell you want to call yourself progressive, yeah, if you're foolish enough to go along with this stuff for now, well, you get everything you deserve. The problem is, though, it's not just you that gets everything you deserve. That means the rest of us who didn't fall for this nonsense. This is the problem with collective and preemptive punishment. I have to suffer because of the fucking decisions and choices of the majority of the mob, right? So if they choose to have one political leader or master, well, under our first past the system, they get 100% of the power to completely destroy and deny me my inherent and inalienable rights. Why? Because Canadian people are too stupid to understand, or at least a substantial portion, or the majority that vote for these people are too stupid to understand what this stuff all, like, to me, if you don't understand politics, if you don't even understand what government represents, then you should never, ever be out there, chalking off names or checking off names on a ballot. If you're too ignorant to understand what politics and what government means, then you shouldn't be out there voting. But yeah, that's basically the story here is the federal liberals. And I mean, yeah, that was the other thing. Actually, I wanted to cover it. So now that we're talking about this whole gun control bullshit here in regards to the CBC, and you've seen the media, they're spending way more time. There's way more articles. I had them all lined up earlier today, but it's like, I knew it's probably going to be using up a substantial portion of my computer's resources. So I was like, no, I won't use them all. But you've heard all the articles about the shootings down in Texas, El Paso, Texas, and was it Dayton, Ohio? The media is constantly talking about that, right? 2 incidents. Yeah, sure, more people were killed, but those people had maybe better aim or were a better shot or were in a particular position to cause more harm. But once again, there were only 2 incidents that unfolded over the weekend or those couple days in the U.S. And that's a country that has 10 times the population of Canada. Keep that in mind. Meanwhile, in Canada, and not just in Canada, but in one city in Canada, this happened in that very short couple-day time frame. Ready for this, folks? Toronto City Council first asked Ottawa to enact a handgun ban more than a year ago in the wake of a shooting spree in the Danforth neighborhood that killed 2 people and injured 13 others. The request was repeated in June after a shooting incident during Toronto Raptors victory celebration wounded 4 people. And it was made, okay, here's the point I was trying to get to. And it was made again this past holiday weekend after 14 separate shootings injured 17 people across the city. A spasm of violence that Toronto Mayor John Tory described as heartbreaking. So 2 incidents down the U.S. Meanwhile, in that same time frame, basically, you had 14 incidents, and not just in, like, the U.S., think about it, where Ohio is way up north of the U.S., close to the top of the U.S., basically. Yeah, pretty much. And then you got Texas, basically way down the bottom, El Paso right on the map. So, 1,000 miles between them. 2 separate incidents. One, basically, as far as we know, 1 shooter per incident. Yet here in Canada, in that same time frame, you had 14 incidents with a total of 17 people that were injured as a result of these shooting incidents. So it seems like it's pretty prevalent as far as incident-wise. It seems like that's much more prevalent in Canada as it is in those 2 jurisdictions in the United States. And once again, down there, they have the genuine Second Amendment. Canada, we don't, but as you can see, gun violence, the kind of gun violence that they're talking about in Toronto, that's all gangbangers, right? People don't give a, like I say, these people, even some of those incidents in the U.S., the people that are criminals, they don't give a flying rat's ass about the rules or the regulation or legislation you write. They try to deny them their ability to gain access to a gun. You think they're trying to go through the legal route like that? This is the insanity that is representative of those who are your thought leaders today. They won't tell you that. I'll tell you that. But you're not hearing the kind of things that I say. You're not hearing that from anyone in the established media area. Why? Why is that? Don't you ever question? Don't you ever wonder, why aren't they speaking so serious and so forthright and so honest and objective in regards to these stories? Why aren't they doing things like what Ben's doing? Is it that Bennett's so superior in every way as far as intellect? No, I don't believe that for any stretch of the imagination. Why? They do it because they're driven by an ideology of authoritarianism, forced subjugation, and collectivism. That's why they're never, ever, ever going to say what I've got to say. They won't. They're part of that cult, and they're unwilling to separate themselves from that cult. That's the problem, folks, is they are cultists. They're all about promoting the religion of statism. Government is their ultimate authority in terms of morality and legality these days, and they won't question it at all. They're unquestioning to their political authorities. That's what makes them not just scary, but very dangerous indeed, and much, much, much more dangerous than these individual actors or shooters. For every incident that you hear about these shootings, like I say, I can point out 1,000 times where the government has caused way more harm to you. Well, I mean, other than the death part of it, but they'll get you there too. And even then, they'll still be making out like bandits, even once they've secured your death, because they'll just, well, look at what government does. Even in your death, they'll take portions of your income, your productive wealth, your estate. They'll still benefit from you, benefit themselves at your expense, even when your blood is cold and no longer flowing through your veins. Folks. Anyways, let me continue on here. Let me see what else everyone's got to say. Yeah, I'm sorry for doing this on a Wednesday too. I know probably not the best time to do a live stream, but this stuff was really, it was irking me, folks. It was really bothering me because I've seen how the media has been covering these stories. And like I say, it's all about control. They don't give a crap about you. If these shootings ever is vigilant and just as determined to push back against them and deny them their ability to ever achieve or attain that much control of power over your ability to defend yourself. Never, ever, ever relent when it comes to your ability to defend yourself, because that's the thing. That's that one area. And when I say, well, the U.S. is the only country in the world. Yes, it's that one last bastion on this entire planet that understands how important it is for individual rights, freedom, and liberty to have the ability and the competence and the capability to defend yourself. That is the last bastion of freedom. So don't use majority, the fact that large, substantial portions of the entire globe are disarmed serfs, subjects, and slaves to the ruling class. Don't never allow that to be like, oh, I want to join them. No, no, no. You want, that's the one area where you do want to take exceptions. Like say, no, you can be a slave, a subject, a servant if you choose to. I'm not going down that road, which is why, like I said, I love the Constitution of the U.S. and how it's written as far as given the American people. And that's the thing. They pointed out right within the document that it's not government that's giving you your right to bear arms. It's government that's acknowledging your inherent God-given inalienable right to bear arms to defend yourself. That's the beautiful aspect of the Constitution. It's not that they suggest that the government is affording the people, the American people, that right. It's the fact that it's enshrined in the Constitution that the government must acknowledge and adhere to the fundamental freedoms of the American people and never seek to deny them their ability to defend themselves, whether it's against foreign aggressors, domestic, or even the government themselves. That's what I love about the American Constitution. They didn't hold nothing back and making sure that they made very well how important it was to understand for the American people that this isn't about going to hunt. The Second Amendment, militias, it was never set up to give someone the ability to hunt. No, it's all about having the ability and the competence and the capability to defend yourself against any aggressors, whether they're foreign or domestic. That's the truth of the matter. That's something that most of those who are representative of the political or media establishment in this country don't want Canadians to understand and don't want Canadians to ever start to be emboldened enough to make it part and parcel of what it is to be a Canadian. I want to see that happen. And actually, under the leadership of Maxime Bernier and the PPC, we may very well be able to get to that point, or at least closer to that point going forward. So, hey, once again, support Maxime, support the PBC. If you're someone who believes in genuine rights, freedoms, and liberty, and your ability to defend yourself against other people who want to use force, violence, coercion, or theft against you. Like I say, it doesn't matter if they come as a representative of government or just a petty tyrant or a petty criminal. You should always have the legal authority to defend yourself against anyone that's trying to aggress against you. My aunt had her house broken into in TO. It took them 8 hours to show up at 2 a.m. Police, that makes total sense to me. Yeah. Which is why, well, I mean, fortunately, apparently your aunt hopefully wasn't harmed in that incident. But at the very least, your aunt should have had at least the capacity, not even meaning that she should have necessarily used it, because that's another thing. You should always have the capacity and ability to defend yourself, but it doesn't mean you should use that, right? So if these people broke in the home and just by, making stirring or in your bedroom or making noise, they left, well, of course you shouldn't chase after them and shoot them. If they're leaving, if they're no longer a threat, that's the thing. Common sense, right? Common sense approaches in your ability. So it doesn't mean that owning a gun, you should automatically be using that just because there is some potential harm, right? It's all about using a proper amount of escalation or defense in regards to the potential threats posed towards you. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. Trish Farron, cops don't show up to a crime like break-ins unless you tell them there's a gun involved. Yes, that's true too. There are Chinese knockoff guns on the black market. Well, hey, by the way, actually, I haven't heard anything from Cody Wilson, but you can actually 3D print a gun nowadays. So you're never going to be able to deny people their ability to do so. The only thing that the governments can do is cause a lot of harm to a lot of law-abiding legal gun owners as a means to put fear of government in them, right? That's the problem is, yeah, you're never going to deny true criminals. Like if a criminal wants to be a criminal is going to find a way to carry out their criminal deeds. You can't legislate morality and you can't prevent bad things from happening. The best way to do so is, like I say, give people the capacity and the competence and the capability to defend themselves. That's how you keep people at bay. To keep criminals at bay is having your ability to defend yourself against them. Disarming them, once again, these criminals, why do you think they always want to go to places that are gun-free zones? Because they recognize most people are disarmed and lack the ability to defend themselves. They always seem to want to go to a place. Now, the Texas shooter, I get in that particular Walmart, you could have had shooters on hand, but hey, maybe that person had a had suicidal tendencies or expect that, yeah, I'll go kill a bunch of people, but if I die as a consequence or as a result, it is what it is, right? In that situation, under that scenario, nothing's going to help you, right? Because if that person is willing to die for their cause or for their evil or vile deeds, well, they're just going to do what they're going to do. Not a damn thing you're going to be able to do about that stuff, right? So that's just a reality. Hey, that's what it is to live in the real world, folks. I am a proud cisgender male. Yeah, good for you, Paulus. You're out where Fred's Bennett haven't been through there. Freds? Which Freds? Say that again there, Edgar Forstrom. Fred. I'm just trying to think of Fred. Yeah, you're going to have to Fredericton? No, because you're talking about a person, I would assume. Fred. Anyways. Hey, what's going on, Barcode? What's that thing you got? I can't even tell what that emoticon or whatever you put there. Here where I live, there was a shooting. Cops were called to said house. The cop didn't get out of the car. Meanwhile, one guy dead and a woman. Cops. Not a huge fan. Sorry. I recognize the kind of people that choose to be cops these days. And it's not the typical person that just wants to be a peace officer, right? Those days are long in the past. They're authoritarians or petty tyrants that are looking for a paycheck, basically. For the most part. Not all of them. There are exceptions to the rule. I always leave that caveat out there, but come on. As a generalized statement, they're petty tyrants, control freaks, and authoritarians that will carry out the edicts of the political masters for a paycheck. Gunners are the problem, not guns. Well, no, evil people that use guns, man. It's not even the guns. It's just evil people, right? Evil people. And that's, you can't legislate, like I say, you can't legislate morality. Evil is going to exist no matter how many laws you write on the books. Go to a prison sometime. All kinds of rules on the books tell you shouldn't do this or that, but those things still happen, even in maximum security prisons. So, like I say, you can't legislate morality, and pretend or suggest otherwise is go and write a fantasy or a fictional book about it, because that's basically where it belongs. Oh, day 3 cop goes to house again and checks house to find woman still buried alive. Time she gets to hospital, dies. That is a shame. Shooting cops were called, said house. The cop didn't win. Oh, I didn't catch that second part, Trish. Yeah, I didn't get that. Okay, good catch, Rika. Yeah. So yeah, that's a terrible, terrible incident. It's a shame that this woman didn't have someone, that was paying a little bit of attention to what was happening to her, or at least I might have been able to get to her in time. That's a shame. That is a shame. Make sure you have people around you that care about you, folks. Don't live your life alone and isolated, especially if you care about liberty, because they'll pick you off pretty quick if you're alone and isolated. Cops get 1 day loss of pay for not checking it out to begin with. Yeah, all sickening. 51% tell the other 49% how to live. Democracy. Yeah, not a fan of democracy. Not a stretch of the imagination am I a fan of democracy, majority or mob rule. You bet, Bennett. Tell like it is. Damn right, Edgar. I will. That's kind of what I do. Thanks, though. Appreciate it. Justin is too foolish to continue the election campaign without Jerry Butts. Truckers, bring them back. Truckers, bring them back. Bring what back? Bring truckers back? Yeah, I've already had my trucking livelihood and my life destroyed. It's unfortunate because I really enjoyed driving truck. It's one of those occupations for people like myself. It's conducive with my personality and who I am. I actually enjoy driving truck. And it's unfortunate. Anyways, don't even get me into that stuff. Hey, what's going on, Paul Green? Hey, Kelly, how you doing? I got to go down through these. Got to try to get quicker here. Refuse to comply with these. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not a compliant conformist. Never have been. Never will be. I won't expand upon that because you never know who's listening. But yeah, I'm not a mindless order follower or a conformist by any stretch of the imagination. I live my life very moral. I don't seek to cause harm towards anyone or to impose my will or to steal from them or plunder. I don't do any of those things. Like I say, I live a very moral and ethical life. And it doesn't come as a consequence of what my political authorities or thought leaders to tell me what it means. No, I understand it intrinsically to my core what it is to be a decent moral human being, which is why I reject the kind of authoritarianism, the kind of hypocrisy that is representative of those who are big proponents of the state. You're all hypocrites. To be honest with you, like I say, you're all hypocrites to at least a degree. Now, there's variances in that degree, but if you're a proponent of statism, you're a hypocrite because you are an advocate of violence and force, theft and coercion. Just because you have a particular way you want that done or carried out, well, it still doesn't change or deny or negate the fact that you are advocating for preemptive force or violence as the ultimate means to an end. And if you're an advocate for that, well, just expect that other people are going to reciprocate that in kind, which is why we live in a world where it's nothing but people that are seeking to take over that big giant monopoly of force or violence, which is government, as a means to their ultimate end. That is what's breaking down society at the end of the day. That's what's creating divide. That's what's causing so much harm to so many people, is the fact that they use government as their means to an end rather than negotiation or just being a decent moral person and having that live, let live mentality. God bless you for being honest. Thanks, Edgar. I tend to do that an awful lot. Sometimes it works out good. A lot of the times people get mad at me for being so honest. Hey, it is what it is. Buffering? Really? Dang. I didn't notice it was buffering. Let me go back here to the... Yeah, sorry about the buffering, folks. I wasn't aware that it was doing that. Okay. The U.S. has the best framework for a free society. Well, yes, the Constitution is at least the closest, right? I think we can still do better. But yeah, I agree 100%. If you look at all the constitutional documents ever written throughout the entire world, for any type of governance, the U.S. did it best, which is why it went from a country of basically 13 colonies, all spread all over a large geographical area, to the most dominant country on the entire planet in less than a couple hundred years. How many other countries ever did that? No, it took millennial or many centuries for some of these Western or these European countries to get to the place where they were as far as their global dominance. The U.S. did it. The reason why the U.S. did it so quick and so much faster than everyone else is because they were all about, let me give you freedom rather than using force. You get a whole lot more people on board and adopting things when you give them freedom rather than force as the means of an end, as your means to an end. Like I say, that is why the U.S. became the most dominant society on the globe, is because they knew, well, the Constitution was drafted in a manner that was actually conducive with genuine freedom. And so most people, no matter where they rest or reside in the political or ideological spectrum, they realize that these freedoms are great for me. I don't necessarily want to afford them to everyone else, but I love these freedoms for myself, so I'm more than willing to accept and adopt them. That's the beauty of the U.S. Constitution, is nobody really wants to reject it because they all recognize inherently that it's good for them. Although today that's starting to happen more and more, where you got some Americans that are trying to deny that amazing aspect of their heritage and their culture and the history of their country. Jesus, why would you ever want to do that? Unless you've been inundated and indoctrinated by a lot of political propagandists that have told you that freedom is bad, slavery is good, indentured servitude is good. Why would you fall for that nonsense? Oh, because they're promising you a bunch of goodies? Oh, well, that was a nice treat to see a live stream. Hey, Kelly. Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Yeah, we got to get together, actually, Kelly, me and you. We got to talk about libertarianism at some point in time, and it's going to happen. Well, it doesn't have to, but too many, you and Derek and quite a few out there that you misrepresenting what being a libertarian is all about something. And I'm not saying you're bad or terrible for doing. No, you just, I believe you may be confused what it is. It's not even like me as a libertarian. If I tell you that you should never have anyone use preemptive force or violence against you, that's not me saying that, well, we got to end government tomorrow. I mean, ultimately, the only way you'll ever get to that point where you actually don't have preemptive force or violence imposed upon you through political edict is by eliminating the state. But once again, I'm not foolish enough or naive enough to think that we're going to eliminate the state of Canada when all these other states exist. The problem is, I don't think what it is what it is there's confusion because we actually haven't sat down to discuss this thoroughly enough. So you understand what libertarian, just like if I say theft is wrong, and that is wrong. It's immoral, right? Kelly, theft is wrong. I mean, you would not deny that. I know you wouldn't deny that theft is wrong. So why do we make excuses for those who are politicians? I'd love to hear why you think there should be an exception or excuse where some people should be able to use preemptive force, violence, theft. I would love to hear your explanation as to why you think there should be certain humans that are exempt from morality. I don't believe there is such a thing as giving some people an exemption from morality. If you're going to have something that's a principle or an ethic or something based on morality, it has to be universally consistent for it to even be accepted or adopted by people, right? So this is the thing. And like I've said so many times in the past, what is a libertarian? What is the core tenets? What are the principles, the foundational aspects of the philosophy of liberty? Number one is the non-aggression principle, not to use preemptive force, violence, or theft towards other people. That does not negate or deny you your ability to defend yourself. So violence is completely acceptable for a libertarian if it's to defend yourself or those you love against someone else that's using preemptive force, violence, or theft. So it's not passive, it's not complacent, it's not conformist. It's all about defending yourself against people that are using force, violence, or theft against you, first and foremost. Number two, self-ownership. I own me, right? I'm not a slave. That should be something I'm pretty sure Kelly wouldn't disagree with me that nobody owns Bennett. Bennett owns Bennett. But I own me. That's my body. It's my mind. It's everything. That I'm free. I'm supposed to be a free human being. Would you deny that? I highly doubt it. And the only other tenet, the core principle of libertarianism, which is a natural extension of non-aggression principle and self-ownership, is property rights. So anything that I provide out there, right, as a direct result or consequence of my intellect or my labor, or anything that I produce, that is by natural extension mine. And nobody has any higher claim on anything that I produced than I do. That's all a libertarian is suggesting. So please, and like I say, don't misrepresent, don't straw man, don't go off onto some other tangent that has nothing to do with those three core tenets, because that's what a libertarian's saying. Is if you understand those three core tenets, then please tell me where I'm wrong. Take the time between now and we have this conversation, sit down, investigate, research, spend as much time as humanly possible figuring out where I'm wrong in the non-aggression principle, self-ownership, and property rights. If you can do that, that means you've done something that I've never heard one other human being that has done so far, and I'll applaud you. I'll be like, damn, Kelly, you did good, man. I've never heard it presented in that way, and I've heard it presented from authoritarians or statists from all different stripes, all different colors, all different backgrounds, all different ideological perspectives. I've heard it so many times from so many people. Never heard one person actually put forth an argument that we should be slaves, that we should not own ourselves, and that we should allow people to use preemptive violence towards us. Never heard anyone make a valid case for that. But if you can do it, I'll give you the opportunity. I'll give anyone, not just Kelly, I'll give anybody out there the opportunity to present your case. Matter of fact, I salivate. I sit here almost yearning day in, day out. It's like I'm armed with all this knowledge. Like, please, someone allow me the ability to use this information against your goddamn political bullshit. Because that's the thing. I don't play politics. I'm all about telling truth. I'm all about being objective. I'm all about being consistent and philosophically and principled and have moral and ethical underpinnings for everything that I spout. So if you're going to go against me, or if you're going to suggest that libertarians are wrong or extreme, that's the other thing. I hear, oh, those libertarians, yeah, but they're just so extreme. Really? There's something extreme about being free from forced subjugation? Please enlighten me. Don't fall for that stuff. Sorry. And what it is, I think a lot of it is you just haven't got up to speed and understanding things from that philosophical sense. But if you're going to, like I say, if you're going to come against me, make sure you're at least well armed with the knowledge to do so, because it's going to take a lot to take me down, because I've spent the last at least 10 years. And what does it require to be an expert? I think I've surpassed those 10,000 hours long ago now. So I don't know, call me an expert as far as libertarianism and what it is to be a free human being. So like I say, you better bring your A game if you're going to challenge me in terms of what it is to be a free human being and what we should accept. Sorry, I just had to go on a little bit of tangent there, because I like I said, I hear too many people saying negative things about libertarians, and they have absolutely no basis. I've never heard anyone actually give anything other than that they just use these labels, right? Oh, they're extreme. Oh, yeah, we don't want to go that. What? Expand upon that. Don't just use like one sentence or two lines. Expand on what you're trying to say. Because if you have a conversation with me, I'll make sure that you have to. You're not going to be able to just give a sound bite. Right? Not going to be on any political talking point. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire and make sure that you're actually defending what you're standing for, which must be statism. If you're against libertarianism, you basically inadvertently, whether you like it or not, are a promoter of statism or forced subjugation or indentured servitude or modern forms of slavery. And like I say, if you can make an argument, a case for that, go for it. Yeah, you're right, Paul. Yeah, back and forth from conservatives to liberals to conservatives to liberals. Yeah, it's the definition of insanity. It's like what? I don't know, the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, they're going to win, man. Oh, we should do this year. No, it's going to be the Toronto. Maybe they both suck. Maybe they're both losers, right? Maybe those teams are not anything that you expect or hope, or that shit you've built up in your mind. Maybe they're not representative of any of that. Maybe you should stop supporting these people, right? Maybe the best thing you can do for people that are continually losers is to not keep promoting them while they're doing the things that make them losers, right? I mean, it's just a suggestion. Same with the liberals and conservatives. If they all practice authoritarianism and you're looking for freedom in any stretch of the imagination, maybe stop supporting these people that keep promoting authoritarianism. Just a suggestion, just a thought. Morality defined by whom? Morality is easily defined. Edgar, do you believe in that people should use here? Morality is actually universally consistent. Stephen Molyneux has the most modern iteration. He calls his universally preferable behavior. But hey, let me give you a little catch you up to speed here as far as morality, if you're not even in the religious aspect. So you don't even have to come at it from a religious bent. Look up Ayn Rand and her philosophy of objectivism. Now, I'm not saying she did a perfect job, but that'll at least get you up to speed and on par with understanding what morality entails. Things that are universally consistent have an underlying universal consistency. So violence, like force, rape. You can't universalize using rape as a means to an end, because most people don't want to be raped. You can universalize not being raped, people not using preemptive sexual violence towards someone else. That's easy, because most or all people, you can universalize that that's not something that people want. Because if they want it, if you want to be raped, well, then it's not rape, is it? It's not rape if you want it. So rape, which is, using sexual violence or sexual harm towards other people without their express permission or consent, that's universal. Just like theft. No one would actually accept or adopt that theft is good, or that it can ever be universalized where, yeah, we should all accept that, right? Because most people don't like people taking money from them or the fruits of their labor or their intellect without their express consent. These are easy things. Morality is not that hard. And how old are you, Edgar? How have you got to be an adult? I would assume you're at least an adult. How have you got to be an adult where you don't at least understand that there are defined moral aspects of what it is to be a free human being? If you haven't figured that one out at this point in time, then I don't know. It's going to take you quite a while. You got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. You might want to figure that out before you come ask that kind of question to someone like me. Because I figured out morality at least fairly decently, right? As far as theft, violence, and force and that kind. I figured it out pretty good. Matter of fact, by the time I was about 5 or 6 years old, pretty much had that stuff figured out. I don't know how adults haven't figured it out yet, but well, I guess you've been listening to the wrong people, right? Surround yourself with the wrong people if you haven't figured out there are actual universal and ethical stances in regards to morality. There are, believe me, they really are. Please show up to take a report. Oh yeah, back to the, yeah, take a report. Yeah, exactly. We went way down here. She went, okay, here we go. Okay, back to Kelly. We are on the same page with those 3 core values. Never said you were wrong. You're way more into this. Yeah, but that's the thing, Kelly. But you have, and I get it, I'm not mad. But when you, what it is when you say things on these videos, right? And I keep this in mind for myself, so I'm not just telling you this, but when you talk about libertarians on your videos, you got to remember the people that are watching your video, if they're confused or confounded what libertarian is, if you suggest that libertarians are some extremes, like, oh, I don't want to go that far, you're actually maybe telling those people they should never even look into it, or they should automatically have some apprehension towards being free in any way. Like, that's just weird, man. That's just, at least if you're going to talk about these things, at least be nuanced enough that you're not turning people against trying to be free. And I'm not suggesting that we're going to be free tomorrow, or that if we're all going to turn to libertarians and the state's going to cease to exist. That's the other thing. I'm just being honest. Just like when I told my kids, I've said this in the past too, just like when I told my kids, by the way, Santa Claus doesn't exist. I didn't trick them. I didn't try to say, well, Santa Claus exists over here, but not over here. It's like, no, I had to be honest with them, right? I had to just say, honestly, Santa Claus doesn't exist. And then we can deal with that afterwards. There's going to be some fallout. There's going to be some ramifications, but we can figure that out because we have language that we use with each other. Right? So, but telling someone the truth, first and foremost, that you should be free. You shouldn't have anyone have any pretense of authority over you in terms of how government is set up, which is, once again, preemptive force of violence, right? That is what government is. It's not a means of just minor arbitration, because that would pretend that government doesn't actually do everything that they do. Government does exactly what they do. They use force as the ultimate means to an end. That's the truth of the matter is, and they're not just people that are arbitrating disputes. If we lived in that world, then libertarians would be like, well, we're pretty much there. I'm good. I'll just go off into my corner, right? And worry about that small little minuscule aspect of statism. Let everyone figure that amongst themselves. No, we recognize that statism and the belief in government has caused this rampant rise in authoritarianism. People are rejecting religion, God, and have replaced and supplanted that pretense, which God, like I say, is at least out of this world and not going to genuinely smite thee. But everyone has replaced that authority with people that are actually real here on the ground, working for political parties, legislators, lawyers, right? These are people that have a genuine effect in your life, in your real world life. So it's really, really important. The onus is on all of us to at least give people and arm them with the knowledge so they understand how this real world actually functions and exists. Because then they'll be better prepared. Like if I was trying to tell someone, hey, go off in that forest, go 10 miles in there. And like, let's say there's some, I don't know, like waterfalls about 5 kilometers in, but you can't see it till you're on top. If I said, go into the forest and forage for these berries, and they're way in there, the miles in there. And if I was naive enough or didn't tell them that, oh, by the way, about 5 miles in, if I knew that about 5 miles in, there's this big waterfalls and it's covered by a lot of foliage and you won't notice and you might fall over the edge. If I did that, right, and informed them to go into these woods blindly, and I didn't at least inform them that there's a waterfalls, be careful for that cliff over there, I would feel that I was personally responsible because I'm trying to tell people, just like if you're telling people to get into voting or supporting government, I don't care if it's the PPC or any party. If you're telling people to get involved in people who represent the state without at least giving them the genuine knowledge of what that even means, like you're failing the people. That's what's happening. You're failing the people. And so many people throughout so many times in the past have failed so many people. That's why we find ourselves in the current situation we are now, because people are playing politics rather than being honest and forthright with each other. That's all it comes down to at the end of the day, as far as that goes, Kelly. So hopefully, like I say, hopefully you understand, like, I know I get serious, but how could I not? These are very, very serious issues, but I love you, nothing against you. And I just hopefully someday we'll be able to sit down so it's not just you listen to it, but maybe some of the other people that have watched your videos will start to understand that, no, libertarianism is not extreme. Just like, slaves when they didn't want to be slaves, right? It wasn't extreme for a slave to say, I would just like to be free. Now, there's nothing extreme about want to be free from forced subjugation. But I'm called a false libertarian. Well, know what it is. Listen, know what it is. But I get it. No, but yes, some people will needlessly call you names, and that's a bad thing to do because, hey, I've even been guilty of that in my past too, Kelly, where I've done that, where you call people like milk toast or a lot of terminology I would use would be limited government libertarians or big L libertarians, they would call it, right? Minarchist. Minarchist is a terminology that I would have used in the past. But once again, it has nothing to do with, I understand if you don't want to necessarily promote full-on fundamental aspects of freedom because you're in the political realm. So I get that. You're like, kind of hard to put that sales pitch out there to, hey, buy my, I'm representing the state. Kind of hard to go out there and say, I'm going to be a representative of the state. But hey, statism is bullshit. It's based on pure authoritarianism. Right? So I totally get that. That's the problem with politics, which is why I never delved into it. I support those who do, and especially those who are more closely aligned with being more honest with people. Like the closer you are to being more honest with people, which obviously Maxime Bernier, Kelly, Mark Friesen, all these people, a lot of these people that are now representatives and candidates and supporters or members of the PPC, they're all at least getting much closer to that fundamental understanding and promoting liberty. So I have nothing against them. I just what it is, I just want to point out that I think it's kind of important for me, but if you don't want to do it yourself, that's fine. But when the term libertarian comes up, then just say, hey, I'll yield that knowledge to someone else that wants to cover this topic more in depth, right? That's fine. Then at least you've kept yourself in that neutral position. But when you choose to like kind of go against libertarians in a way, it's a little bit counterproductive. That's all. That's all it really comes down to at the end of the day with me is just, if you don't want to promote like full-on libertarianism, like what it represents to be a genuinely free human being, and it does require a lot of work. It requires that you have to have a massive philosophical understanding about things and be willing to talk at great lengths like I do. I totally get if you don't want to do that, which is why I leave that responsibility to me if you need to, if you want to. I'm totally on board with that. Just don't turn anyone away from it needlessly based on the fact that maybe you just don't quite understand it. Because when you do understand it, you'll probably recognize, just like me early on, it took me a while to understand. Once I understood what libertarians stand for, what that principle, what the underlying premise of what it is to be a free human being, what that represents, like, sure, I might disagree with some areas in some regards, but listen, these are people that just want to help educate and inform people and tell them you don't have to be a slave no longer. And I think that's a great initiative. I think that's a great goal. That's a great undertaking for anyone to say, listen, you don't have to be a slave or a subject or a serf to anyone, whether they share your same skin color, whether they come from your historical background, as far as, whether you're European or whether you're brown, red and yellow, black or white, right? Brown, doesn't matter. I'm all the libertarians saying this is what it is to be free. How we're going to get to that point, I don't know. Like I say, I'm not a dictator. I'm not a central planner. I'm not a control freak. I don't know how we're ever going to get to that point. I do think eventually we'll get to that point because humanity has seen that path where we progress and get to a point of liberty. Then we go through a little bit of a valley and then we hit the peak again. So I think, but eventually, if you look over the course of time, we do keep getting closer and closer, progressing to that point. So I think we may ultimately get there. How long it's going to take, I don't know. Totally up in the air and open to interpretation, but we can get there. But the only way, I will say, a prerequisite, a requirement for us to ever get there is to be honest and forthright with people and say, statism is an indoctrinated belief that was jammed into your head when you were a very small kid, because a lot of people that want to take advantage of you figured out that they can use politics as a means to an end, right? That's really at the end of the day. And like I say, the religious fundamentalists in the past did the same thing, right? Which is why King said that God has appointed me as the king. I am now your legal or governing authority because of God's decree. Right? Lots of people will give you lots of snake oil salesman tactics or information to inundate you so that you'll perceive of them as your legal or moral authority. I'm just saying is, don't believe in that nonsense. And then once you understand that no one has any genuine legal or moral authority over you in that sense, then you're better armed to be able to defend yourself, no matter if people come at you from the right or the left politically. That's all at the end of the day. I just want anyone that's watching my videos, or anyone that pays attention to anything I got to say, or people by natural extension are my friends or fellow liberty lovers. I just want to give the people the proper knowledge so they can think about these issues critically in a manner that's more conducive with keeping them in the realm of wanting to be free themselves. And because if they want to be free and they acknowledge that the importance of their freedom, they'll also, by natural extension, the importance of my freedom. That's the thing with individual freedom. Even if that person is only doing it for their own individual freedoms, well, because I'm an individual as well, I naturally benefit as a consequence. Anyways, enough of that stuff. We'll deal. If there's anything else that I haven't covered already in this video, we'll get that all dealt with in a subsequent video, and we'll talk about this again, Kelly. Anyways, like I say, big fan. I'm a friend. Like I say, I'm not saying this to be negative towards you in any way. To me, it's just all about, trying to be more universal and consistent in our messaging. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. Libertarian, I challenge you about bullshit. Oh, awesome. I'll take up that challenge, Frederick Godzilla Macon. That's actually great. And actually, you know what? Let me write that down, actually, because I might forget. That actually would be great. I've been hoping someone would step up the plate. No one ever does, though. So it's like, I don't know. It is what it is. But, okay, so Frederick. Godzilla Macon. Debate regarding libertarianism. Awesome. We'll set something up because, yeah, I'm going to have I'm not going to be out of the loop as far as doing interviews for too long. Even if I end up having to pay for a service, I'm going to make sure I can still do my interviews. So we'll set something up there. And like I say, definitely, I will say, spend lots of time between now and then getting all your thought processes and your premises in order, because I'm definitely going to challenge you, because that's that one area of topic, that one subject where I'm extremely well versed, as you probably realize. So thanks for offering to do that, though. I really appreciate it, because it's something that has to happen. I agree. Oh, but I'm called a. Oh, yeah, well, that was the Kelly Day. Common sense is so liberating. Many still won't see it. Okay. Oh, yeah. There is no freedom, only illusion of it. Well, we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that in the debate, right? Because actually, no, there is some freedoms. I make that kind of freedom for myself. I actually make it exist, and it really does. It really does. Now, if some statist comes along and wants to try to deny that freedom, well, actually, that freedom still can exist, right? It really can. I can prevent some authoritarian from denying me my freedom if I have the willingness, capacity, and ability to defend myself against the authoritarian. So actually, freedom does exist. Not for some people, not for those who just want to go along to get along, who are scared of the imposition of authoritarians. For you, you have no choice. You either go along with what they say and everything they do and abide by their political edicts, or those of you that fall for the authoritarians and do everything your political masters tell you to, in your mind, you have no freedom. For me, for my mind, 100% free. 100% free. There's some areas and aspects of my body that not free in certain regards, but that's only as a consequence of other people that don't believe in freedom that are trying to deny my freedom. Doesn't mean that freedom doesn't exist. It just means that other people might try to deny it. But depending on how powerful I am or how much I can push back against them, I can still make that freedom exist. Actually, humanity has shown many times in the past that no, freedom can win, even against authoritarianism, even with the kind of power that the state brings to the table. King George found that out pretty quickly, didn't he? So, yeah, freedom does exist. I love it. As there are people around the world creating the backup. Anyways, yeah, we got to get back to the gun stuff here. Yeah, sorry. Scheme by government. Those generating the means of DIY guns at home should be promoted by those for freedom. I do. Yeah, I have many times. Check through my videos in the past. Cody Wilson, Defense Distributed. Yep, I've covered him multiple times. Courageous young man. Love that young guy. And of course he's a libertarian as well. And he said, no, the government might try to deny your freedom. Actually, Frederick Godzilla Mencken. Hey, go check a couple Cody Wilson videos out. He, like I say, Defense Distributed is the name of his YouTube channel. And you'll see, yeah, he believes in freedom too. And he actually makes that freedom come to exist in real life. Tangible, right? Even though the authorities tell him not to, but he's going to make that freedom exist regardless. Freedom, a lot of it's in your mind. Bennett, do you know history? No, not at all. Only just from yesterday, man. I was born yesterday, and so I don't know. Beyond that, I guess I'm just ignorant. What kind of question is that? Just save it. Why do it in the chat? We're talking about gun. Save it, build it up, write notes down, right? Put it on your notepad on your computer, and keep all those talking points on hand for when we have our great debate or discussion. But asking me a question like, do I know history? What? Seriously. Oh, man. Don't hate, man. Don't be a hater. Slosh McGee, I would think most people, quite likely 90% of them, have no clue what a libertarian is. I believe that's probably the case. Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think you can come out of an entire education system, 12 plus years at least, right, and never understand what it is to be a free human being? Coincidence? The fact that it's government funded, government run, they use forced wealth and income redistribution and force you into these things at like 4 or 5 years old. You don't think there's any cause and effect correlation there? Why you come out the other side of that state-funded indoctrination center without understanding what it is to be a free human being? You don't think there's any reason behind that? Nothing there? Of course there is. It's done for a reason. They don't want you to know what it is to be a free human being, because then they lose all their power and all their control. Last thing authoritarians want to do is lose all that power and control, which you can deny them that, but it requires you to understand what it is to be free. If you don't understand that yet, then they still got that kind of power and control over you, don't they? They're working on homemade gunpowder, including smokeless. Homemade primers. It's consistently same shit with libs and cons. Yeah, different. Yeah, just different pile, a different day. Same shit, different pile. Right. That's so true. PPC for you, PPC for me. Hashtag PPC 2019. Oh shit! Somebody did a $5 donation here. Let me scroll down. Kelly, like so often on social media, it's easy to misunderstand comments, which can't put out one but take another. Never as good as with good old one-on-one conversation. That's so true, Paul. You're 100% right. Yeah, we got to talk. That's the thing. We can't just go through like third parties or misrepresenting each other or straw man or logical fallacies. No, let's just talk to each other. That's the beautiful thing about doing interviews in long form is you can actually dig down to the nuance and get people to actually understand these things rather than, that's the thing. And you all know that those of you in the chat, you know darn well you're not getting any of this stuff in a 45-second soundbite or a 5-minute segment on CTV or CBC News, right? They can't jam this much knowledge in that kind of a short time frame, and nor do they want to. Like I say, at the end of the day, they don't really want you to be truly educated and informed. They want you to just have enough knowledge that you believe that they are your genuine authority and your thought leaders. That's all at the end of the day they care about, which is why they constantly refer themselves as experts, right? Or the people that they put up there on the stage. They constantly refer them as experts, and that's meant so that you're like, oh, I better listen. Well, if they're experts, what's the definition of an expert? 10,000 hours in a particular field? Okay, I'm an expert. All right, I'm an expert too. Have you ever seen CBC ask this expert onto their stage to say what I've got to say? No, and you never will. Why? Because I destroy all their narratives that they built up. Right? That'd be like me walking into a Catholic church and say, hey, God doesn't exist. You think they're going to allow that? No, because they built up that pretense. And they don't want anyone to destroy what they've built up at the end of the day. So, come on. But like I said, nothing against Kelly. I understand that what it is Canadians, like unfortunately Canadians in particular, Americans understand this stuff more intrinsically because of their history, their culture. But Canada, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of Canadians don't truly understand what it is to be a free human being. But anyways, let me get down here because I want to, somebody donate $5. And I want to say thanks. Oh, that's Frederick. Awesome. Here's a beer on me, bud. Right on, Frederick. Awesome. Appreciate the beer. Really, really do. And like I say, I look forward to having that conversation, that debate with you, because I think it's something that would be, especially, and you know what, get a little bit hyped up about it and stuff. And if you have disagreement, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like we're going to go blow to blow or anything. It's just going to be, talking, right? Just going to be words, right? So yeah, let's get this happening, because I think there's a lot of Canadians would actually benefit from hearing that kind of conversation or debate. So thanks for the beer. Actually, I really appreciate you doing that, Frederick. I will check it out. Appreciate it, buddy. Wholeheartedly agree, because it is lightning rod. Okay. Hugs. Accept hugs and kisses from your mom. Ooh, 15,000 hours of indoctrination. Yeah, right, Rika, exactly. Yeah, I think, someone figured out at one point in time, was it? By the time, from the time I think it was starting at kindergarten or something. But yeah, I think Rika's right on the ball there. It's about the time you hit kindergarten from the time you finish your formal education, right? You've basically been inundated with about 15,000 hours of indoctrination. Think of how powerful that is, right? And I mean, it's a reality that we've all had to deal with. I mean, I was too. It's not like I got to escape it. The only thing that's fortunate for some of this is I had people in my life that helped push back or counter some of that indoctrination. Without that, I know I would have been easily susceptible and fall in line, and probably would have grown up today to be just as much of a status as a lot of people out there. So even some of the people that are status, I don't blame you per se. I know that you've been given some wrong and some terrible information over the course of your life. But all I'm trying to do is help you to battle and break out of that mindset of that indoctrination. You might get mad at me, just like me early on when I had to go through my own personal development and this stuff. I was like, it does cause some cognitive dissonance, and it's disturbing, especially when you hear information that is completely opposing what you've been taught for so long. It's hard to deal with. I was, like I say, it's even for me, it was, damn, why would so many people want to keep me tricked into this kind of shit, right? You get kind of mad. You get a little bit angry about it. But once again, once you've worked that through in your mind and you thought about it properly, and like I say, do it on your own personal time. That way you're not arguing and bickering with people, because chances are you probably say something you might regret or something, because when you're going through the learning process, just like myself, I've had to, even if I look back at some of my videos that I did even just 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, oh, shit, I learned so much since then. I wish I could go back and say to that guy, he's like, oh, you weren't exactly right there. But hey, that's why I try to adopt and improve myself today. I want to be a better reflection of liberty today than I was even yesterday. I'm hopefully going to be able to even do that better maybe tomorrow. And actually, at the end of the day, that's all it really I concern myself with is I am not going to know everything. I have no pretense that I ever will achieve or attain that. But at the very least, I can try to help better myself in some way every day. And if I can do that for myself, then I think it's conducive and beneficial for me to help other people. So I have access to this kind of information, this kind of knowledge. And because I live in the age of information, my immediate thought was, well, don't just share that, or don't just absorb that for yourself. Don't be selfish. Don't be so greedy as to just keep that for myself. Share that with others. And that's what I've been doing basically ever since I've started my YouTube channel predominantly. And I had lots of, even before I started the YouTube channel, I've had lots of social media, like my Facebook and Twitter, and lots of where I was spreading this kind of stuff. I feel compelled to help other people, because other people have helped me. I didn't get to where I am today all by myself. Other people have helped put that knowledge in my head by giving me proper information that I worked through. I was like, yeah, that makes more sense. That is more consistent in terms of morality and principles and ethics and all. So other people have helped me, and I feel, well, I got to reciprocate that because someone else has helped me, so I'm going to help other people as well. And that's what I've been trying to do for all these years, is not to get people mad at me But I know that does happen. It still will happen. It will happen in the future. But once you've worked through that cognitive dissonance and you've worked through that hard time where you have to go through and fight through some of that indoctrination that you've been inundated with, trust me, on the other side of that, you're going to come out not just being intellectually and morally well-versed than most of your peers, but that's going to be conducive with creating where you can create your own healthy construct, not just in your immediate realm like your family, but even your society. That actually gives you the tools that you can use to create a better society around you, or a better culture around you, which at the end of the day is going to have a much more profound effect on society than politics or like I say, checking a box or checking off a political party every few years. No, learning and adopting the language of liberty is going to help you a whole lot. And not just you, but everyone else that you ever come in contact with. Trust me. I'm a $64,300 pound, or sorry, 64,300 pound muscle bound dude that was in the military training fighting in the ring. I usually exercise my freedom. Right on. Oh, sorry, man. Yeah, my eyes. Someday I'm going to have to start wearing glasses for reading, at least. They're pretty good for most things, but for reading, yeah, sorry, but yeah, 6'4", 300 pounds. He said, sorry. My bad. Muscle bound dude that was in. So yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Well, that's good that that means you have the ability, the competence, and the capability. And chances are people such as yourself that if you actually genuinely have the physical prowess and the competence and the ability to defend yourself, and it seems based on what you're saying here, you do, you're probably the kind of person that goes around walking softly without going around and trying to intimidate people physically on a regular basis. I would assume that. Why? Because people that actually have competence and have that kind of capability don't have to feel that they got to punch way above their weight, right? So you already recognize that you're a force, right? So you don't have to go around pumping your chest. People will just see that by physically seeing who you are and your stature, right? I'm assuming, I don't know you from a hole in the ground, but I assume that you're that kind of person that because you have that physical stature, you're like, yeah, I don't have to go around like, right? You just walk around and realize that everyone's going to notice that, right? They got eyes, don't they? Right. So that's a beautiful thing about people who are secure, not just in their manhood, but in their own strengths, is you don't have to go around pumping your chest or trying to use, government, the representation of monopoly of force of violence as your ultimate means to an end. Right. You know that, and you can defend yourself. So you don't have that authoritarian streak within you. Whereas look at the people who are representative of the ruling class or the immediate class in this country. None of them are representative of that kind of strength. These are like weak people. And the only thing they got at their disposal is their power of manipulation to manipulate people's minds, right? You have physical prowess that like people that recognize as a direct threat if they try to cause harm to you. But these political propagandists, these opportunists, these authoritarian collectivists, all they really have at the end of the day at their disposal is the power to trick you, right? Even to trick a 6'4", 300-pound guy from being a mindless conformist. Now, you apparently, Frederick, aren't willing to fall for that. But there are a lot of people that are at your size and stature that you got lots of muscle, lots of body bulk, but the brain isn't necessarily that strong or has that much rigidity or resilience, right? So that's the thing. People can take over your mind, even though they might not be able to take over your physical body. All they really need to do at the end of the day, the authoritarian collectivists, is take over your mind. And that they've done, like I say, through the power of indoctrination over those 15,000 hours that Rika alluded to. Let Fred on the stream. I can't let anyone on the stream. There is no streams anymore as far as Hangouts on air. Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that. I can't let anyone on the streams. It would be nice, but that ended. Unfortunately, Hangouts on air, and I have no idea why, but there are alternative options, and I'm looking into a few of them. I'm actually now just to the point where it's picking which one I'm going to use, but there are a few options. More than likely, you probably have to pay for to get them so that you can stream for long periods of time and have multiple people in the streams. But yeah, Google Hangouts on air, it's ended as of August 1st. So unfortunately, I can't let anyone in the stream. Wish I could. Fortunately, I can't. Okay, it works out for me right on. This is a good stream, folks. Respect. Thanks, Edgar. Classless politics. Can't read it. Oh, at work, have me with my. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to, anyways, Frederick. It's all good, buddy. We'll get this done. Like I say, we'll do it in a proper manner, anyways. No worries. Do it this weekend. Yeah, actually, I might be able to do it this weekend. Because, yeah, I haven't been able to set up any interviews. Well, I have lots that are kind of sitting in the back wings, but because I haven't had the setup to do so. But if I get it figured out by this weekend, yeah. Actually, how would I contact you, Frederick? If you look in this video or any of my other past videos, just go to whether it's Facebook or Twitter, Minds, Gab. That's pretty much it as far as the links, or even just comment there. Just give me some way that I'll be able to contact you after this so that we can set something up. I might have, I don't know if we've friended each other on Facebook before in the past. I know I've talked to you, was it to AJ before? Anyway, just give me some way after this stream or even during the stream. Just give me some way to be able to reach out and contact you, and we'll get this figured out. No worries. Okay. Are you drinking a Caesar or Bloody Mary? It's tomato juice. I love tomato juice. It's good stuff. Who don't like tomato juice? I'm a big pop drinker too, but I've been trying to get away from drinking too much pop. I love drinking pop ever since I was a teenager, but as I get older, I realize that you gotta try to cut down on the drinking of the pop. I've been drinking, well, Coke is my favorite, basically since I was a teenager, and way, way more than I think anybody really should. Okay. What kind of Canadian is he? I don't think Mr. Bennett drinks. Yeah, I drink. Oh, yeah, I drink. No, I drink. I like, on hot days, I like a hot or sticky day, or if it's dusty, or, after a hard day's work or cutting the grass or something. No, I like my beer. I've never been a hard alcohol drinker. I was, when I was a teenager, like in my teenage years in my early 20s. But yeah, I found out early on, because I'm the kind of person that, yeah, I'm all in kind of guy. It's like, yeah, I try to stay away from the hard liquor stuff. Although nowadays, I don't really care too much anyways for it. But when I was younger, yeah, I would tend to kind of overindulge from time to time. So I found that, hard liquor is one of those things where, like I say, unless you're really, really restrained, and make sure that you never, go beyond like, a couple drinks or whatever. Hard alcohol it can be really rough on you, not just for your body, but can cause some things. It just wasn't conducive for me. So I kind of get out of the hard drinking thing. I've dabbled in the marijuana, the cannabis over the years. I'm just the mild kind of stuff, like, light alcoholic drink. Mike's Hard Lemonade or something. That stuff's not bad. What's another one? I don't know. There's a few, but usually they're drinks that have like, 5, 6, 7% alcohol, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not a real heavy drinker. But I definitely drink. Yeah, I'm not a square by any stretch of the imagination, right? Anything that I can use to enhance my excitement in any way. As long as that's what it's doing, because that's the thing with alcohol, you can go too far where you're like, you're not even enjoying things anymore. It's like, oh shit, like once you get to the point where the room's spinning, or you feel nauseous and stuff, or you're like, I don't like, yeah. To me, it's all about maximizing my experience in life. So whatever I can do to try to maximize that without going too far is usually what works best for me. Like I say, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Definitely gone over that line a few times in the past. But as you get older, you get wiser. And I've been doing a whole lot better. So yeah, I still like to have a drink. Maxime does not acknowledge the threat we are all facing with a collapsing ecology. Foolish at best. Well, Lightning, listen, I'll tell you. Maxime isn't going to be our savior. Maxime is just a political viable option as far as, challenging the status quo, or at least taken that reins of power away from the status quo or the current establishment. I do believe that Maxime is in a pretty good position, and I at least trust him enough that if I had to pick, well, that's why I've chosen. Like, normally, I'm not a vote kind of guy. I don't like picking masters or rulers, but I at least recognize and acknowledge, and I've been getting some heat. Actually, I have a lot of other libertarians that won't even watch my videos anymore, and I don't want to bring up any names, but even people who are part of the Libertarian Party of Canada were seemingly don't like me or are mad at me now because I'm supporting Maxime and the People's Party of Canada. But once again, I'm just trying to be pragmatic. It's like, I'm still going to do my things. I'm not a big firm believer in politics. I still believe that culture is the dominant force and politics is downstream. So I'm still trying to do what's best for the culture in this country, which is why I do these videos, not just in regard to politics, but about philosophy and what it is to be a free human being and stuff, and why I do that every day, even when I'm talking to people in public. But I did recognize that, you know, the PPC under the leadership of Maxime Bernier is a genuine, viable option for those of us who truly care about defending individual rights, freedoms, and liberties, and personal responsibility and all that. It's like, and I've used this analogy in the past. Maxime, hey, if we're going to jump on that big tour bus heading towards Liberty Street, right, then he might want to get off many more stops before I do. I'm probably one of those guys. I'm going to sit on that bus. Matter of fact, I'll probably pass out in the back seat because I want to go all the way to that final destination where freedom actually genuinely exists fully. I don't know when we'll ever get that point. But Maxime's saying that unlike the authoritarian liberals or the cons or the end-dippers or the Green Party, he's saying, hey, I at least want to get behind the wheel of that bus and turn it around, start heading towards that direction of liberty rather than authoritarian collectivism. And I'm like, right on, Maxime. Like I say, I'm probably going to keep going on that bus, probably a few more stops, long past where you want to get off. But hey, if we're still traveling in the same direction, hey, we can have a great chat. We can have a great conversation. We can have a whole lot of fun along the way. That's the way I look at it. It's not that I have all this faith in just Maxime or the People's Party of Canada. I just believe that at the end of the day, most people hopefully want freedom, right? I have to believe at the core of most people in their psyche, in their psychology, most people at least want to have some kind of freedom. So it's like, let's just start promoting freedom rather than control and authoritarianism. And I think if we do that, and if we're heading that direction, not only are we going to finally, hopefully get to that destination, but I actually hoping, and I'm seeing actually there's more and more people are actually going to have to make a whole lot of stops along the way, because it looks like in Canada, liberty is definitely rising and more people are wanting to jump on that bus. Now, I think at this point in time, we're getting so popular and that liberty is truly rising to the point where we're getting to the point where we might have to get a couple more buses to follow us, right? We might have to have a convoy here eventually, folks. Yeah. Right? No, but liberty is definitely rising in this country, and more people are starting to understand that it's not a perfect situation or scenario, but Maxime and the People's Party of Canada is our chance. It's our one chance that we're going to have come this federal election in October. It's the one shot, the one viable option that we have, because there are other options, but it's the one that's going to be a viable option that we have to actually finally, for once, and this has been decades in the making for me. I've been paying attention. This is the first time in decades that I've seen where we liberty lovers actually have a genuine chance and an option out there where we can go out and support an actual political party. And I know it sounds weird for me to even say that, but it kind of does give me some sense of hope for the future, to know that at least I have that option come this October for the federal elections. And you better believe I'll be out there supporting the candidate in my riding, no matter where I'm at, whether I'm in Ontario, whether I'm in New Brunswick, or I could be at the oil patch at that time. No, but no matter where I'm at in this country, no matter who it is in that riding, if you're a member a candidate for the PPC, I will be checking your name and I will be supporting you, because I believe in what Maxime Bernier is doing, and I believe in his initiative to try to get Canadians on board with adopting a more common sense approach to what it is to have governance. Like I say, don't believe that we're ever going to be a full libertarian society anytime soon, but I'm very appreciative and thankful for the fact that more and more Canadians are at least wanting to head in that general direction. Oh, someone else donated too. Sorry about that. Oh, it's Frederick again. Thanks, Frederick, man. Do you think they should take weapons from Spurgy Otis? Spurgiotis. I can't really answer that question because, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what a Spurgiotis. So I'm assuming they're autistic, right? So it's someone that probably has some kind of mental cognition issues to start with, right? So I'm not sure. Like that would be something that would require me to actually get to understand. Like I'm not a politician. I'm not going to be able to give you a 30-second. Hold on, let me check here in my political playbook. Oh, wait, I got an answer for that. I don't have one sitting there waiting for you, Frederick. But like I say, maybe if you bring this up when we have our debate, I can try to learn what these, or maybe you can help maybe expand upon what these Spurgiotis are all about, what the potential dangers that might be prevalent, or if they actually did have access to weapons. I don't know. I don't know how to follow on that one. So sorry, I can't really give you a clear and concise answer, nor would I want to, because then I'd probably be just lying to you for the sake of saying, hey, I give you an answer, didn't I? So I can't say for sure with you there, Frederick. The other leaders are just globalist puppet politicians. That's so true, Paul. So true. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Yeah, that's funny that someone said that they didn't think I ever drank. It's gonna be blood. Now, if you ask anyone that's ever known me, yeah, I've been known to have a drink or two. I guess having that Irish and Scottish blood run through my veins probably doesn't know. I'm just kidding. That's stereotyping. But sometimes those stereotypes are somewhat a representation of reality at times, or at least they seem to be, right? The only thing more boomer than a Caesar or Bloody Mary is not a drink. The only thing more boomer than a Caesar or Bloody Mary is not a drink. What about those non-alcohol drinks? That's the hilarious part. Why would you want to drink something that, obviously must have the taste of alcoholic beverages, but without the high that comes with it? Like, the whole point of drinking isn't, I wouldn't think anyways, mostly for the taste, right? You can get better taste in like fruity drinks or colas or sodas or coffee or, I don't know, sugary drinks. But I would imagine most people, what they drink is because of what it does, that kind of euphoric high that it gives you predominantly, right? I would think. And most people that I've ever been around in my life, that's been predominantly the reason why they drink. What kind of Canadian is he? Okay. All right, moving along. If a government used the instruments of power in its hands for the purpose of leading the people to ruin, then rebellion is not only the right, but the duty of every single citizen. I agree, Brent Alderson. Now, those who are your authoritarian leaders, they don't want you to put forward that stuff, but you're absolutely right. Freedom does not exist. Well, it can exist in your mind, but it doesn't exist properly until you've actually made sure that you're willing to stand in defense of it. That ultimately, at the end of the day, is where your freedom actually genuinely lies, in your ability to defend it. Because like, was it Frederick or whoever was a suggestion or alluded to earlier, you can be enslaved in your mind and your body. Preferably, hopefully only your body. Hopefully not in your mind, because at least if you're not enslaved in your mind, at least you have the ability and the capacity to break free of the slavery or the chains that bind your body. If you're enslaved in both, you're in a whole lot of trouble. But the most important thing, like I say, the prerequisite for freedom, at the very least, is to have your mind free. If you don't have a free mind, the rest of it, by natural extension, is never going to come to exist. Always entertaining watching two drunks have a conversation, from my experience. Yeah, well, that can be. Hey, I've listened, not just two, but I've been in situations where I've watched a lot more than just a couple of drunks talking. That can be very entertaining, engaging, enlightening, and very exciting at the same time. Okay, Bennett, got to go. Reach out to me. I'm all available on the weekend. Everyone, peace and love. Yeah, take it easy, Frederick. Thanks for the donation. Appreciate it, buddy. And like I say, before you do go, please just leave something somewhere in the comment section below or somewhere. Send me a message on Facebook or Twitter, just so I can actually reach out to you and we can set something up there. Because like I say, I'll get this all figured out as far as having a way to do interviews. Can't go too long without being able to do videos. I got to have that option available to me. But I'm going to try to scroll down through. Dang, why do these things take so long? Okay. Okay, most will be able to break. Hey, Bennett would be taking, okay. CBS is free. OBS is free. Oh, yeah, OBS. Yeah, I got OBS. You just have to learn how to use it. Yeah, that's true. OBS is definitely an option. I've been looking at that too. But there are actually other ones out there too, Rika. There's another one. What was that one? I don't have it here right now. Zoom. Zoom is another option, apparently. The only problem with the Zoom one is that because it's easier, it's more conducive with the, like, more seamless, I guess you would say. The only problem with the Zoom one is they only allow 40 minutes unless you pay. So if I do Zoom, I'm going to have to pay, I think the lowest one they have is $20 a month, which starts to get kind of expensive. It doesn't sound like it, but when you're working poor, it can get overwhelming. That's money I could use for other things. But anyways, but yeah, 40 minutes, usually for me, 40 minutes, I'm just barely getting warmed up when you're talking about doing interviews. So I'm looking at it, but thanks for the OBS. I use that for some things for sure, especially for capturing the screen and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion. Oh shit, he's addressing the drinking. Ooh, I missed it. Chelsea, or classless politics. You missed it. That's too bad. That's all right. You can always go back and watch it later. Pop is like drinking syrup, fuzzy bubbles, Chuck. Well, that's true. I know. Hey, I don't think it's good, but I just something I guess I grew a taste for it when I was a kid, and I still like the stupid stuff. I really, really do. It sucks, but yeah, it is what it is, I guess. I'm trying to get myself off it, or at least reduce how much I drink as I get older. Maiden stream just ended, so I'm back. Awesome. Lumberdog. What's going on, Lumberdog? Pulling back the curtain on climate change. Tony Heller exposed the corporate climate corruption. Right on. Just say it. You're an alcoholic. Boomer confirmed. Okay. If you say so. Whatever you need to tell yourself. I think I drink maple syrup straight. Yeah. You're a true Canadian, Slosh McGee. Now, that's a true Canadian. Actually, no. If you're a true Canadian, you'd mix that with a little alcohol. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That's a good one. Drink maple syrup straight. It runs through my veins. Nice. I don't know what Rika posted up there. That's a symbol of some sort, but I'm not sure what it is. Mary Jane. I'm sparking right now. Nice. Mary Jane's good. I like Mary Jane. Mary Jane rocks. Lumberdog. Weed is now even more invasive and illegal. That's so true. Legalization actually brought in more laws, rules, and restrictions. I did a video about it. Yeah, actually, I won't bring it up because I'll tease it out too much and then nobody will be watching my video. But yeah, you wait till you see the story I got coming up over the next few days that I covered for an upcoming video in regards to marijuana. Wow, folks. Like I say, this legalization push onto the federal liberals is anything but. It's more authoritarian, more control. It's always about control. Case closed. Pop and tomato juice. Case closed. Boom, boom. Oh, pop and tomato juice together. Eek. That doesn't sound good. Absolutely, it's more money for him too. Lumberdog. Maxime wants clean water, clear land, and clean air, but no CO2 is not pollution. Right on, Lumberdog. Okay, I'm just going to see. Probably going to tie this video up because I know I do tend to go on quite long at times. I'm just trying to see if anyone else is asking any questions in the chat. Wait, do you actually think PBC stands a chance in October? I'm not sure if you're asking that question to me. But I'll answer it anyways. Do they have a chance as far as like winning an outright majority? It's probably a fairly long shot, although that's the thing. There's been so many things that have happened in recent years all over the Western world that shocked the crap out of the ruling establishment or pollsters or your thought leaders that thought that things were going to go their way. So it is possible, right? I mean, what were they saying about Trump? Like 1% chance of him winning right up to that election night. And that was the paper record. New York Times basically saying that, Hillary's going to win. It's a done deal. Boom. How wrong were they? What about Brexit, right? Like I say, I don't doubt the fact that there are a lot of Canadians who are going to show up to support Maxime Bernier in October. A lot of them for sure aren't going to say that, aren't going to vocalize that, because just like with Trump, they're scared to death because of the way the media and the political class are portraying Maxime Bernier and the PPC. A lot of Canadians are still too sheepish and too conformist to actually openly admit that they will support Maxime Bernier and the PPC. But once they get behind that curtain in the booth, right, when nobody can see and nobody can tell who they're voting for, hey, you never know how that's going to unfold. So, yeah, I believe that Maxime Bernier and the PPC would probably do very well this October election. Do I believe with any kind of 100% certainty that they're going to win a majority? Not necessarily, but you don't even necessarily need that. Really, at the end of the day, that is not the ultimate requirement. I mean, it would be nice. It'd be icing on the cake, but it's not the ultimate requirement in terms of supporting the PPC or Maxime Bernier. Like I say, this is a long form process, and it's going to take quite a long time to pivot Canada. Consider Canada like a big giant ship like the Titanic. It doesn't turn on a dime, right? It's going to take quite a while to be able to steer that ship, turn around, and head back the other direction. But at the very least, do I think by getting more and more Canadians on board with supporting, personal freedom or personal responsibility, individual freedom, fairness, respect, all those things that the PPC stands for, all those fundamental principles that defend individual rights, freedom, liberty, yeah, I believe more and more Canadians are going to want to support that. And not just for the October elections, because it's not going to be done come October. The battle is going to continue long after the elections, long over, long past. There's going to be another election after that 4 or 5 years later. So it's a long-term initiative that, like I say, no matter what happens in October, it's not going to deter me or prevent me from continuing to promote individual rights, freedoms, and liberty, because I know how important it is. Like I say, the authoritarians, they're persistent in promoting their form of forced subjugation or authoritarian collectivism, which means those of us who are proponents of liberty, of individual liberty, have to be just as vigilant and just as steadfast as in promoting our principles. And why I think we'll win at the end of the day is because most people, right, they might want other people to be served, subject, or slaves, but most people want freedom for themselves. So I think the majority of people will always eventually come to adopt principles or support political parties that stand in defense of liberty. Even if they don't necessarily agree with everything, liberty is still always a better alternative than indentured servitude or forced subjugation, no matter who you're asking or who you're talking to. Mad Max is the 1%. You say so. Yeah, it's Mad Max. Yeah, no, it's not Trudeau. It's not Scheer. It's not Judge Ming or anyone that represents the establishment. No, it's Mad Max. Yeah, he's the 1%. Right? Meanwhile, he has no political power, no political clout. Can't get the media to do anything to align with them, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's 1%. That's the worst failing narrative I've heard so far in the chat. That Maxine is the 1%. Well, he has all this elite power. Is that what you're suggesting? 1% is what the media, what the ruling establishment in this country, basically 1 or 2% actually is how they're trying to present Maxime as far as how many people support him. So that's about the only 1% that you might be. Is that what you're trying to allude to? Because that's the one thing I've actually seen put out there that is actual what the media wants to present is that Maxime only represents, oh, there's nobody following Maxime. Nobody's stupid enough to support freedom. That's the way the media puts it forth. And what drives me nuts is there's a lot of Canadians who are like, yeah, man, screw freedom. My team, libs, cons, end dippers. Hey, who wants freedom when you can be part of an authoritarian tribe? Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. So like I say, folks, it looks like we're kind of unwinding there now. So I'm probably going to tie this stream up. I do appreciate everyone that has shown up. Like I say, most importantly, I kind of got a little off topic here, but at the very least, at the beginning of this, we did kind of deal with the topic at hand, which is this constant push for gun rights and gun control, or push for gun control. And the fact that these politicians in Canada are pushing for gun control and trying to point towards what happened in the U.S., right? Without even acknowledging what's basically happening in their backyard. What it is, they recognize that the U.S., because Canada is that redheaded stepchild, right? And so far behind the times. Even those in the establishment media in this country recognize, well, we got to disarm the Americans first. Well, they even acknowledge in the bill, or even in this headline article of the CBC in regards to this John Tory bullshit, right? Ooh, Toronto's weekend of gun violence, frustrating, angry, and said Tone. They even admit, well, most of those guns that are used in these violent crimes are coming across the U.S. border. So ultimately, at the end of the day, even the authoritarians in Canada recognize, well, we got to deal with the Americans down there first because we're never going to be able to disarm the Canadian population while we live just north of the most well-armed population on the country or on the globe. I mean, yeah, they know. So they're focusing their attention on disarming the American population. It's not going to happen. Never going to happen. I see that they're willing to put forth that spectacle. But once again, the fact that they're focusing on the U.S. rather than dealing with the fact that in Toronto, there was 17 shot in 14 separate incidents in one city in this country. And gee, I wonder if any of this is gang related or has anything to do with this mass influx of immigrants or fighting among these immigrant groups that seem to don't want to adopt or accept Canadian culture and how we deal with each other. Historically, as far as Canadian culture is we go and back when I was a kid, we go and punch each other out, right? You have a fight and then you walk away, shake hands. Nowadays, because the culture has greatly shifted in this country, especially in our large urban centers, there's now a seemingly very, very big dominant culture of gun violence that keeps escalating year after year after year. And just pay attention to the reports and who these people are that are the most violent among us. And like I say, mostly gang members or people from groups that aren't your typical old stock Canadian. Let's just be honest here, folks. So, I mean, really, what are they trying to do? Were you going to disarm, hunters in rural Manitoba or Saskatchewan as a what, or ban handguns as a way to what? Prevent gun violence from gang members, gang bangers? Has it's been already admitted, even by that piece of crap authoritarian collectivist Bill Blair, even he has admitted that, the criminals don't really care much for our laws. I guess even a broken clock can be right twice a day. Even Bill Blair can acknowledge that criminals don't pay attention to laws, rules, or regulations, right? So, anyways, once again, folks, this whole gun control fiasco, at the end of the day, don't fall for it. Because really what they want is they want to disarm the population so they can run rickshaw over us even more than they already do. The only thing that keeps these authoritarian collectives at bay, even the slightest, is the fact that they're scared to death if they go too far. If they advance their authoritarianism too far, well, those well-armed people will push back against them and show their willingness to defend their liberties. And that's all those well-armed people in Canada or the U.S. really have at the end of the day to push back against the authoritarian collectivists is their ability to defend their rights, freedoms, and liberties. Because as you see, petitioning and protesting or voting hasn't worked out so far, right? As far as expanding or creating more freedoms, it's actually done the exact opposite. No, what is actually going to be the base premise, the base platform that you need, the prerequisite to expand or acknowledge or defend your freedom is your ability to have the competence and the capability to genuinely defend them. And that, just like the authoritarians who represent government, they got a gun. That's how they threaten you, is with that big, gigantic gun in the room or the little guns that their mindless enforcers all carry around. And all you really have at the end of the day to push back against them or challenge that kind of authoritarianism is you having the ability to defend yourself and to be armed enough to defend yourself against these authoritarians. Every time throughout history, when societies have broken down and authoritarians have taken over, always happened exactly and precisely once their population was disarmed and helpless against them. Hopefully, based on that history that North Americans genuinely understand, hopefully there's still enough of this, there's still enough residue of people who understand how important it is to be well armed and have the capacity and the competence and the capability to defend yourself. Hopefully there's still enough Canadians and Americans out there that understand the intrinsic importance of not just giving up willy-nilly your genuine freedom, because once again, that freedom only exists if you have the ability to defend yourself. So if you give up your gun, if you give up your right to defend yourself, then maybe you have genuinely given up your freedoms. And while some Canadians might be willing to do so, there's a huge substantial portion of Canadians that are never going to get that point and are never going to give up our willingness and our ability to defend ourselves and what we need are the tools at our disposal to do so. So thanks for everyone that has joined me in this chat today. Probably be doing another weekend, and maybe I might even get a chance to have this debate with, hey, what's going on, Leo? Sorry, bud, I'm just getting ready to get off the stream, and I really can't keep it going because I'm like I say, I'm kind of wore this one out already. But thanks for joining in, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk soon. Everyone, like I say, thank you for joining the stream. Sorry that it was a midweek stream and I didn't give you any notification, but I really appreciate everyone that has shown up. And we'll maybe see you on the weekend when I do my next one. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty. Yes, I'm sure I want to end it.